The following will contain spoilers for 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. If you do not enjoy spoilers, then I shall give you time to click off the video, and I would wholly appreciate it if you would either consider purchasing the game, playing it yourself, or watching someone else's playthrough, because it really is a great game. With that out of the way, let's start! On this episode of 13 Sentinels Aegis Room Character Files, we will be discussing the ever athletic, immensely obsessed with aliens and space, and also possessing quite a nice set of legs on her, Natsuno Minami! And as per usual, we will be beginning the discussion with the 22nd century 2188 version of Natsuno Minami, who is also the original. The 2188 Natsuno Minami, from the looks of it, is an incredibly important liaison and most likely an astronaut if we are to go by what she has, well, dressed as. However, her role in Project Art is mostly unknown, as every cutscene we get of her involves her talking to someone important, acting as a sort of liaison between Project Art's research team and development team and with their investors, namely the people of Shikishima, or to be more precise, for some reason, Nenji Ogata of 2188. She is the daughter of the 2188 Yuki Takemiya, as well as the girlfriend of the 2188 Keitaro Miura, who is an engineer in charge of designing the sectors. And now we're gonna jump immediately to the third loop, Natsuno Minami, because literally, we don't get any glimpse, or even any kind of side story or any side appearances from the second loop Natsuno Minami. So, all I have to say about the second loop version is that most likely she had about the same relationship with the second loop Keitaro Miura as the third loop ones, due to the fact that the first person Keitaro Miura of the second loop, namely BJ, immediately sought out was, well, Natsuno Minami of the third loop. I highly doubt that was just a coincidence, considering how conspicuous it would be for him to go to a school gym, not to mention wait inside the laundry basket of all things. Considering the fact that he was also being chased after by Ida Tetsuya, because, well, Ida wanted to make sure BJ wouldn't have been able to help the third loop defend against the kaiju. Natsuno Minami is an energetic and charismatic girl. Although she has an eccentric nature due to her obsession with outer space and aliens, but everyone pretty much agrees that they enjoy being around her due to her rather bombastic nature, I suppose would be the only apt way to describe it. Or in Keitaro's case, she's very special. Anyway, Natsuno Minami has quite an obsession with extraterrestrials, so much so that her favorite movie is E.T. Oh, excuse me, that's copyrighted. I mean EXT. So, it came to her as a surprise when she met BJ. Although it's quite odd that her first reaction to seeing a robot is, "This must be an alien!" And so, on that day, Natsuno... Oh wait, excuse me, let me change my voice. And so, on that day, Natsuno Minami's fate was sealed. She would then embark on an epic adventure with BJ throughout the timelines. Except it was not time travel, as we all already know. It was just jumping from sector to sector. Anyway, BJ would take Natsuno on a journey through time and space itself, searching for the Sentinel that was hidden. Because BJ wanted to help the third loop succeed in their defense against, against the kaiju. It's unknown whether BJ had anything or any inkling of Joro Izumi and, well, Miyuki Inaba's plans. However, it's very possible that he was just reprogrammed to help them, due to the fact that despite Keitaro Miura being the main personality of BJ, BJ is still, first and foremost, a robot made of coding. Natsuno would later find out more about the Interstellar Development Project, and also realizing that she was looking in the wrong place for aliens, because all she had to do was gaze in the mirror, because they themselves were the aliens. The 15 survivors of the extinction of 2188 would come to become successors on many different planets. She went through many hijinks, including going back in time to meeting Tamao Kurabe. Now, there might be some confusion to this. One must note, the Tamao Kurabe that she met in 1945 is the real Tamao Kurabe, or should I say, the Tamao Kurabe of the third loop. When she disappeared, the system didn't actually purge her. The reason why she disappeared instead of dying, or any other kind of magical finale, is because when one of the 15 are injured beyond reason, in the simulation anyway, because their physical body in the real world will not receive those injuries, they are suspended inside the pod, waiting to see the result. Meaning that even if that one person did not become an integral part of the simulation, as long as the rest of them pass the simulation, or should I say complete the simulation, they will be included in the revival process once the simulation shuts down, not shut down, and injects the inner locitors into the nanomachines, meaning that the Tamao Kurabe in 1945 did get out of the simulation along with everyone, even though her, well, contribution was very little. Natsuno would also inadvertently meet Chihiro Morimura's loli clone, namely Chihiro Miura. She would then help Keitaro Miura after finding him in 1985, when Keitaro accidentally shifted to Sector 2. She helped him by providing him lodgings based on taking advantage of her relationship with Tamao Kurabe and Juro Kurabe, not Izumi. Because at that time, Juro Izumi had lost all his memories and was now living on a new artificial personality created by the Tamao Kurabe of the second loop. Just so we're clear on this and there's no confusion. Because the Tamao Kurabe android is actually the Tamao Kurabe of the second loop, and she was part of the process that helped fix Juro Izumi and restored his memories is not the right word, humanity or consciousness. Yes, consciousness would be more accurate. She provided Juro Izumi with a new set of memories as Juro Kurabe, mostly out of guilt because she wanted to protect him. Also, the other reason being she was against Chihiro Morimura's plans, which I will detail further about how fucked up they were in her segment or in her episode. Natsuno Minami would eventually meet with Tomi Kisaragi's android, as well as the Tamao Kurabe android, mostly against her choice. Prisoner number 426 had came to this time because he wanted to inject Natsuno with the key that summoned the kaiju to give 1985, or should I say Sector 2, more time to prepare for the fight against the kaiju. And we can infer that, considering what the game says, that the key makes it so that the kaiju will follow that signal being sent by the key and ignore sectors that don't have the key in it yet. We can infer that prisoner number 426 programmed Keitaro Miura, or should I say BJ, to bring Natsuno to Sector 1 as often as possible. That way, the kaiju would attack Sector 1 first, instead of Sector 2, which would give them more time to prepare to defend it. BJ and Natsuno would eventually find the Sentinel that BJ was looking for. Natsuno would mistake another robot she found, another surveillance drone, and thought it was BJ who was shattered. We know now that it was A. Sekigahara who shot and destroyed that drone. And the drone was sent by Chihiro Morimura to spy or to look for A, apparently. She would later end up in a whole heap of trouble, as when she time traveled to 2025, Ryoko Shinonome found her and BJ and decided to take BJ for her own purposes so that she could use him against Ida Tetsuya. This effectively left Natsuno stranded in that timeline. Now, imagine being stranded essentially in a post-apocalypse that's being ravaged and filled with murderous robots. Pretty much just think about being trapped in the Terminator movies, except in this case, there's no other human life left to help you. You're all alone. Natsuno proved resourceful, able to acquire both food and water for herself to last her for a few days to a week. And she found out that the armor, or should I say, the EMP field of the ruined remains of a Gemolar were able to keep the androids at bay. At the very least, keep them from catching her inside the core of the ruined remnants of the Gemolar. BJ would later give over command of his Sentinel to Natsuno Minami, and she decided to fight for his sake because when he handed over control of the Sentinel, BJ had to go through a lot of hoops to fix the Sentinel that was still corrupted by Ida Tetsuya's virus, so that he could have a safe handover to Natsuno Minami. What that equivalated to was BJ deleting his data about himself, essentially committing a digital form of self-sacrifice as he deleted all non-essential data, including all data that comprised and made him act like Keitaro Miura. And so Natsuno would defend the third loop and Sector 2 against the kaiju, very happily and very willingly, alongside her friends. On a miscellaneous note, as discussed in the previous episode, she and Yuki Takamiya of the third loop are very good friends. However, she is also biologically identical to Yuki Takamiya. At least half of her DNA resembles Yuki, meaning to an extent you could consider them stepsisters. And the reason for that is because Yuki Takamiya is legitimately Natsuno Minami's mother. So they both share the same gene pool, even in regardless of whether they're in 2188, first loop, second loop, third loop, it doesn't matter because they're literally from the same gene pool as mother and daughter. And with that, we're done discussing Natsuno Minami. So let me add in a fun little tidbit. In the game and in the mystery files, there is a DVD cover of EXT. And it shows, as you can guess it, it's a parody of E.T. It has Natsuno Minami doing the famous finger gesture with BJ's clawed robotic hand, as well as avoidance of copyright with the little boy riding on a unicycle instead of a bicycle. It's nothing really major. I just found it very hilarious because it kind of really represents what Natsuno wanted her relationship with BJ to be. Exactly like the E.T. movie. With that, this video comes to an end. Next time on 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim Character Files, we will be discussing about the ever-lovable grandmotherly figure of the entire group of 15, Tamao Kurabe. Also, sadly, the one who had the least amount of screen time because of, kind of dying early into the simulation in Sector 1. But until then, hopefully I'll see you again next time. Oh yeah, and the usual like, comment, subscribe, but most importantly, enjoy. Hopefully you enjoyed the content. And on that note, bye!